Oh, so it's really, really lovely to see you tonight. I really appreciate you coming and joining us here. Thank you. And I do these lovely people webinars because for the longest time, I felt like the world was full of not very nice people. And, you know, I kind of hid away a little bit and was a little bit scared of people. And then I came across the principles and I just began to see how beautiful and lovely people were. And it just looks to me like the world is just full of beautiful people. And I like to share my lovely people with as many people as I can. So we have met in person because I've been to some talks that you have done, and we've even been for a meal at the Fox, which was lovely. But I really appreciate you coming here tonight. So there will be some people on here who maybe don't know you, and definitely there are some people who I have particularly got to send this recording to who don't know who you are. So would you like to tell us a little bit about you, please?
I like people.
Me too.
I seem to like talking.
We are one.
Well, the important things first, huh? I've been married 48 years. I'm glad I've learned what I've learned because it's made those 48 years a real delight, just a real delight. I have 2 grown kids, and my daughter Nina lives down the road, and I have 2 grandkids with Nina, and one of them just became a teenager. So it's almost impossible for me to believe that I have a grandson who's a teenager. And little Eva is 9 years old now. And then my son is down in Portland. He's a chef. And he has a 1-year-old boy, Reed. And we were just down there a week ago. And he's walking, running. He gets so excited that he can just trot around the house and outside. So those are the important things.
Yes.
I'm now a retired psychologist. My gosh, it was 40 years ago I began working as a psychologist. Hard to believe.
Time flies when you're having fun.
30 years ago, after I had been practicing for 10 years as a psychologist in Vermont, I met a man named Sidney Banks, an ordinary bloke from Scotland who had what some people would call an enlightenment experience. And for 23 years, he was my teacher. And so I feel very, very fortunate to have had that opportunity. And I learned from him that what you're talking about, Deborah, that we're all lovely people.
He was right.
And that I learned from him that we're all thinkers. But even deeper than that and more important than that is that our true nature of everybody, innately, inborn, always, is love and wisdom. So we're thinkers, and our true nature is love and wisdom, whether we know it or not. And most of us very often forget the truth of that we're thinkers, and that at core, we always are love and wisdom. So that's all I'm interested in. That's what I like talking about. And I'm glad that you invited me here to have this opportunity.
Yeah, it's rather handy because I quite like talking about that too. Something happened to me over the weekend. We just, as life unfolds as it does, and we decided locally, I live near the sea, and local to me, there was something advertised that you could come along and clean the beach. It was called a beach clean. So a few of us decided that we would go along and pick up all the rubbish and stuff that comes in with the sea off of the beach. And we got talking to the people who organise the beach clean. They're a local group called Western Soul. And it turned out there was about 8 of them, I think, and they're youngsters. They're, I would guess, between 16, 18, that sort of age. And they'd come together, they're surfers, they surf on this beach, and they'd come together and organise this beach clean because they're really interested in the environment and well-being and, you know, all that kind of thing. And I got talking to the organisers, and they were so lovely, a really lovely group of young people. And they said that the next thing that they were really interested in doing was trying to arrange something to raise awareness and to help other young people that some of them had had some experience of this, and that they'd noticed their friends like struggled a lot with mental health issues, with anxiety and all that sort of thing. So they were trying to organise some kind of event. So I said, oh my goodness, you must have been meant to meet me then, because I would absolutely love to help you if I can and share with you what I know about this. And I've spoken to them today. Unfortunately, a few of them are working tonight, and they didn't know whether they could make the webinar. Whether there is anyone on here or not from there, I don't know, because there's quite a few people. But I would just, they don't know anything about the principles. We've met just for those few minutes, but they're really, really keen to hear about, you know, what it is that I have learnt and what I know. And I just thought it would be amazing for you as well to speak to this, because I just think it's a really, really great opportunity. I think working with young people like that and pointing them in this direction is just, it's magical, and it's an honour to be able to do that, really.
You know, it's often when people talk about mental health, they're not talking about mental health, they're talking about mental illness.
Yeah.
Or they're talking about psychological problems that we all have. And it's been very interesting that there's been a shift in the field of psychology where more and more people are becoming interested in studying psychological well-being, as opposed to just looking at what's going wrong with us all the time. And when I first became a psychologist, I was interested in those people in the world who were talking about that innately we already have psychological well-being. And that conversation has been going on worldwide for centuries, actually. There have been people who have realized the truth of that. And when I met this fellow from Scotland, Sid Banks, he talks so simply and deeply about how every single human being always already has perfect mental well-being. It just gets covered over at times by the thinking that we do. And when that happens, we lose sight of our true nature. So let me see if I can get it simple. Remember I said there's just 2 things I want to talk to you about, that we're thinkers, and what that means, and that we are, that at core, in our being, there's already perfect wisdom and love. Already, always. No exception. No one has more love or wisdom than you do. No exception. That would be like saying, if you look at the ocean, you have waves of all different sizes. And if you don't understand the nature of the ocean, you would think that if you were a little wave, that's who you were, And you would compare yourself to the other waves and go, there's other waves that are much bigger, better, healthier. They have a cooler look. They've got that curl, or they've got a foamy top. I have a foamy bottom.
So you're a cool wave then.
Now, when I met Sid, I felt like I was pretty insecure. In other words, I thought that a lot of my thinking about being insecure was who I was.
Mm.
And Sid Banks comes along, and I'm this little insecure wave, wishing I could be bigger and trying really hard to become a better, bigger wave. And Sid said, instead of looking out at the world and other waves, he said, look down, look within. Your water, which connects you to everybody. And there's no one out there that's more ocean than you are. No one. If you realize that, you will stop thinking that who you are is your personal thinking, your ego. Ego is just a misunderstanding that we're a little wave, a little insecure wave on the ocean of life. Realization is, in truth, in actuality, in fact, already we are the ocean. That's very good news. Really good news. So when I see people, I don't see insecure, miserable, unhappy creatures. That's just the wave or the shape of the wave or the size of the wave. I see through to their core, their essence, which is vast, it's wise, it's loving, it's all one, it's connected, it's already at peace. Okay, so there's a couple of things that are very helpful for people to realize. It's very, very helpful for people to realize that one of the reasons why we keep identifying that who we are is ego or our unhappiness or our thoughts and feelings, one of the reasons why that happens, we don't understand that we're the thinker. In the same way, the ocean is the waver. I've never said that before. I'm not sure it works. I'm making up a new word. The ocean creates the waves.
No, I like it's the waver. That
right? It's out of the ocean the waves arise, and the waves are made of the ocean. So the ocean is the waver. So I'm suggesting to everybody that we're all the thinker, and that we're always creating mental activity 24/7. You can't not do this. There's always thought being created that creates your experience. So if a sad thought is created, you're going to feel sad. If a happy thought is created, you're going to feel happy. It's all coming from within, metaphorically. Now, so the first point I want to make is we're the thinker, which means we're always thinking and then having experience. The second point is that whatever you think, you will feel and experience. No exception. Always, in this moment, you are experiencing your own thinking. That's the only way we come to have experience. It's the only way it works. It's the only way it can work. And it's the only way it will work. It's the only way it does work. We're experiencing our own thinking brought to us by the power of the ocean, by the power of thought. Right? We're a thinker. Now, here's something else that's very interesting. If we're going to talk about mental health and mental illness and psychological problems, I don't like mental illness because in my mind, I've never met anybody with a mental illness. I just have met people who have a misunderstanding that allows them to suffer.
Yeah.
Right? It's just a misunderstanding. They don't know they're the ocean. They don't know that they're the thinker. They don't know that love and wisdom is their core nature. They haven't learned that or realized it for themselves. Okay, so here's the deal. We're always thinking. You can't not do that. And whatever experiencing you're having right now, you don't have to know what you're thinking. Nine-tenths of the time, I have no idea what I'm thinking. I'm not interested in examining and exploring the content of my thinking. Right? I know that if I'm feeling sad, it's being created from this ocean of thought. That's where the wave is just water taking form. Right? My feelings are just waves taking form out of the ocean of thought. Mm-hmm. A friend of mine, George Bransky, says it's like we're bubble machines, and and we're the machine, yeah. Right? And thoughts are the bubbles, and they take form and they take shape, and so you feel sad for a little while, and then it goes away, and then you feel happy, and it goes away, and then you feel this, and it goes away. Our experience is constantly changing. So that's the next point I want to make, is that we're thinkers, we're always thinking, and our thinking content will always be going up and down. It will always be changing. And in common parlance, we say every human being has moods. Mm. We go up and down.
Yep.
It's normal. As you get healthier, you don't stop having low moods. Mm. That would be like saying, as the ocean gets healthier, it'll stop having waves. It would be like saying, as the world gets healthier, we'll stop having rain. We'll stop having clouds. Right? We might stop having pollution, but we'll get to that.
Yeah, cool. Nice clean rain.
Okay, so it's normal to go up and down. It's just thoughts in the moment. It's a cycle of nature. Like, if you eat really good food, it's normal for it to come out the other end differently. I'm sorry to be so graphic. I don't know why I keep coming back to this metaphor, but I like the fact that I have healthy thoughts and I have shitty thoughts. And that's normal. The only thing that Sid Banks made a big point of is that it's important to know the difference.
Yeah.
You don't want to be messing around with the wrong end of the system here. I used to spend hours thinking about my low mood thoughts and experiences, thinking there was something wrong, thinking I had to fix it, thinking I had to do something about it, thinking I had to improve it. As Sid would say, it's too late to improve your experience. It's already been created. You don't try and mess with it. That's ego messing with ego. That's ego thinking there's something wrong with a natural process. Like, I look at my little grandson, Reed. He's 1 year old. He doesn't mess with his experience yet. He just experiences his experience directly. And his experience is constantly changing. So he laughs and he cries and he's happy and he's upset and he's angry and all these things just come and go naturally. He does not think, what's wrong with me that I'm feeling this way? Why do I have to feel this way? Other people aren't feeling this way right now. I should feel better. What course am I going to take? What book do I have to read? Oh my gosh, I got to do something about this. He is a free being experiencing life directly. Now listen, the more I've understood the principles, the more I become like Reed. I haven't stopped having stress and anger and hurt and upset. My relationship to it is completely different, so I experience it different than I've ever experienced it.
Yeah.
right? So it comes and goes freely. So this is one point I wanted to make today. It's a really simple point. Remember, I'm saying it's normal for the quality of our thinking to go up and down because it's in the world of form. Everything in the world of, it's like winter, summer, spring, fall, night and day, the tides. Everything in life is born, lives, and then dies. Anything in the world of form is going to go through cycles. It's not our role to interfere with nature and to interfere with natural cycles. You try and overcome nature. Good luck. I did for years. I was a self-improvement junkie, and I worked on myself really hard. I mean, really hard. My wife says, Dicken, I've never met anybody who works harder on themselves than you do. You know what? I took that as a compliment. I said, oh, thank you, Quizzy. She didn't mean it as a compliment because I was obsessed with myself. So here's the point. We're always going up and down. And we're free thinkers. And we have free will. So we get to decide which thoughts we want to pay attention to and which thoughts we want to ignore. That's what free will is in my mind. If you pay a lot of attention to your negative thoughts and feelings, and you believe that those thoughts are true, rather than just temporary creations that mean nothing unless you give them meaning. If you think they're true, you will have psychological problems and difficulties. Sid Banks made the point in his book, The Enlightened Gardener Revisited. I'll read it to you. It's an interesting quote. It's one of my favorites if I'm talking about mental health. He's talking about psychological problems that we all have because all of us at times think our low mood thinking is true.
Yep.
I'm a jerk. I'm no good. I can't do this. You're better than I am. I don't feel good. This is a nightmare. This is horrible. You are this kind of person. I'm this kind of person. They're just made up. They're just thoughts created in a moment. Remember, they're not who you are. You're the thinker. The thinker is untouched by any of those. They just come and go. The ocean is not bothered by the waves. The ocean is not hurt by the waves, no matter how big and how powerful those waves seem to be. The ocean is untouched. Our true self is untouched by the waves of our experience. He says, now he's talking about low mood thoughts. He says, when these thoughts are given the full weight of reality, as if they're completely true, what I think when I'm in a low state is true. If it's given the full weight of reality and acted upon, they are the cause of all pathological behavior, all psychological problems. He said, on the other hand, if these thoughts didn't appear in people's minds, they would have no symptoms of illness. Or if the thoughts appeared and they were seen as just thoughts, not as realities, the clients would not be categorized as having various mental illnesses. Do you hear that? The only thing that creates psychological problems for any one of us is in a low state, we think our low mood thinking is true. That is Sid's definition of psychological difficulty, of insecurity, of mental illness. But for that, we wouldn't have I've worked with people who have spent their life in psychological institutions. When they wake up to the fact that they're the thinker, it's normal to go up and down, not to be frightened of their low moods, not to think there's something wrong, not to judge them, not to fight them, not to try and get rid of them. And they just come and go naturally, right? And that they can pay more attention to the thoughts that occurred to them when they're in the now, or in a good state. Then everything changes. Their so-called mental illness the symptoms no longer show up. All of the symptoms that any of us struggle with happen because we take those low mood thoughts seriously and then we act on that basis as if they're true. He says there is only one generic mental illness, an inability to see the role of thought.
Mm.
It's very, very interesting. When I have difficulty, which I do, I lose sight of the fact that I'm a thinker. I lose sight of the fact that I'm the ocean. I lose sight of the fact I forget temporarily that that's true. And then I think I am what I'm thinking and feeling. I am angry. I am hurt. I am sad. That's who I am. Rather than I'm the one where that stuff is just coming and going. I'm this aware presence that's aware of whatever I'm thinking and feeling. So if I'm the aware presence, I'm not what's coming and going. I'm the one aware of it. What comes and goes is not who I am because they just disappear. After a while, my thoughts and feelings disappear and no longer exist. But awareness doesn't disappear. The thinker doesn't disappear. This knowing that I'm having experiences doesn't disappear. This knowing that can know the nature of life, this knowing is what helps us realize the nature of thought.
It's lovely.
Now I've worked with kids of all ages. I've worked with people who are extremely happy. I've worked with people who are tormented. I've worked with people that have been referred to talk to me from prison. I've worked with teachers, nurses, doctors, parents, little kids, big kids. We're all the same. We're all thinkers. We're all aware presences. We're all loving, knowing beings that have this constant flow of experience coming and going. And if we don't understand that, we're very likely to start identifying with it and thinking that's who I am. I am my insecurity, rather than I am the thinker who's having some insecure thoughts. That's not who I am. They come and go. I'm the aware presence that's aware of my insecurity, but my awareness is untouched by any of it. It's always at peace. Awareness can't be damaged by anything you're aware of. My favorite metaphor is like the movie screen is awareness, consciousness. It's pure white. All kinds of movies get played on it, and we lose sight of the screen. And we forget the screen exists. It's normal, that's natural. And then pretty soon we think, I am the movie. Right? But listen, the screen was here long before the movie showed up. And it'll be here after the movie ends. Comes and goes. The movie comes and goes. So when we identify with the movie, that's ego. When we see our true self as the screen, the thinker, the consciousness, the knower, that which embraces every movie intimately, which is love. When we begin to see that's our true nature, we begin to, in a sense, wake up out of the illusion of our thinking, fall open to the now, the screen. We come home to our true self that's untouched by any of that. We rest in that space. And then when we're resting in that space, the very interesting thing happens is that this deeper intelligence knows how to change our movies and move them in the direction of love and understanding. Mm. It's built into us for that to happen. I've seen no exceptions to that. Well, enough said. Enough said. I'm more interested in what you're hearing, what's helpful, what stands out for you, what you're interested in, what your questions are.
I love the simplicity of what you're saying. You know, it's like, it's just lovely to kind of hear it again, because I think it's so easy for us to hear this and then to run off ourselves and then complicate it.
Oh. Movies get complicated.
Yeah.
The screen is never complicated. The ocean is never complicated. When we think we're the wave, we all of a sudden create, when we're caught up in our thinking, our personal thinking, it creates difference, problem, complexity, struggle.
Yeah, so it's really been lovely to kind of come back to just that.
Just a movie. Yeah. All of that is just more thinking, content, movie, constantly changing.
So shall we ask if anybody who is here on the call has got a question? There is a little chat box. If you like kind of run over your screen, there's a chat box, or you can unmute yourself and ask. If you run your cursor over your screen, you'll see an option to unmute. I'm struggling to see everybody all at the same time, but you can try and put your hands up and I'll try and find you. So if anyone has got anything that they want to ask Dicken, feel free to ask away, because, you know, it would be really lovely to have a conversation. So does anyone want to ask a question or comment or share anything they've heard? Or we have all these people here and no one's got anything to ask.
No, they do. Give them time, Deborah. Everybody has a question.
It's when you talk like this, what I've noticed when we do these webinars, as everybody's mind seems to just go really, really lovely and calm. You know, it's kind of, it's so clear what you're saying.
Then you can say, Dicken, could you say more about the lovely and calm that I'm experiencing?
Okay.
And I'll have a lot to say about that. Really.
I think Gillian had a question.
Oh, right, yeah. Okay. So I can't see. Can you unmute yourself, Gillian?
Yeah, I'm loving what you're saying, Dicken. I was talking to a lady the other day who was very distressed, very into her thinking about her failed marriage, and terribly, terribly worried about her boys because of the relationship that her ex-husband had formed, and bringing in the old conversation about her parents and what had happened, what was wrong with them. And I found myself almost getting caught up in the story of what she was saying, and then realizing, no, you know, she is what you're saying. She is love, she is wisdom, but she's so embroiled in this conversation with herself that she can't hear actually what I'm saying at the moment. My question, I guess, is not a how-to question, but my way to was just to be with her and to feel love for her and to wait and see if there was an opportunity for her to stop talking even. And I wonder, with all your experience, when you have somebody like that, how do you find is the best way to be with them?
Let me start by saying, Jillian, that when I'm sitting with someone and they're talking to me, I never, ever know what to say to them. But I'm very comfortable just listening and being present. Because I know that in that space of listening and presence, you are aligning yourself with the fact that you're a thinker, that you're pure consciousness, that you're this divine wisdom. And I guarantee at some point something will occur to you to say or do. And when that happens, that's what you say or do. Until that happens, you can just keep listening or just being present. In other words, I used to think I had to know what to say or do. So as soon as my client would stop talking, I'd get insecure and I'd start thinking about what I should say or what I should do or if I should say something, and I'm trying to figure that out. I'm back in the movie.
Yep.
I'm in the movie. It's very hard for me to help people when I'm in the movie. Like you said, that's joining them in their world, which is who I am is what I think and feel. And it's a problem. And it needs to be stopped or fixed or changed. This movie screen never says who I am has to stop, be fixed, or changed. So you're not coming from a place of problem. You're coming from a place of presence. Human beings respond to another human being who's just present. No agenda, no expectations, just present. And when we're totally present, there's a warmth and kindness that comes through. And that people sense that and pick it up. And they feel comfortable. And at some point they relax. And then their well-being starts to emerge. That's how I look at it. Or that's what's occurring to me to say to you right now. Ask me again, I'll give you a different answer.
Thank you, Dicken.
You're welcome. Can I give another metaphor?
Please do. Yes, I love your metaphors.
I happen to be particular to English pubs. You see all kinds of interesting people in pubs. There's one in Colchester called the Fox. It's my favorite. And they've turned it into a family pub. It is delightful. It's a wonderful place, and lots of families come and go. A beautiful, beautiful place. Consciousness, our true nature, our soul, our water, is like the space inside the pub. The people in the pub, in this metaphor, are the thoughts and feelings that come and go, and we get all kinds of characters. All kinds of characters.
Yeah, we do.
I could tell you stories, but I'm sure you have your own. Consciousness, or the thinker, does not come and go. The content of our experience, our thoughts and feelings and perceptions of life that we experience, they are constantly coming and going and changing. Now, the space doesn't care who comes and goes. The space is at peace. The space is already happy. The space doesn't judge what come and go. The space cannot be damaged by what happens in that room. Now listen to this. If the walls to the pub fall down, the space doesn't disappear. You just realize that it's bigger than you ever realized. We think consciousness is inside of our body. We think the thinker is inside of us. In the body, in the form. It's not. It's a formless energy. That can't be, there's no boundary, can't be contained. Our true nature is infinite and boundless. Right? So our true self. So Sid used listening as a metaphor for the space. So he'd say, listen. You can't think. He says, whatever you think is your ego, if you're identified with it, you're the space. That's listening, that's presence. When we are just resting in that space of presence, as in a state of listening or a state of no thought, where we're not caught up in any thought, right? Sometimes they call that pure consciousness, which is awareness free of the contamination of personal thought, free of the contamination of our ideas, beliefs, and concepts. We're not listening to any of that thinking. We're not paying attention to it. We're not believing it. We're just present, which is the most natural, ordinary thing. We're in our newborn consciousness, true self. Just presence. Wisdom and love always shine through presence and reveal themselves. So to me, meeting another person or relationship is just showing up. In a sense, letting go of everything I'm thinking where I don't know at all what to say or do as ego. And in that unknowing, when we step from the known into the unknown, love and wisdom always, Sid made a huge point of this, always, always, always will reveal themselves. And you'll experience something beautiful. Ease, a new idea, a new feeling, a sense of connection to the other person. So in a very simple way, if you could say, if you have two people in the room and they're having difficulty, one or both of those people are not present. They're not listening. They're not in the now, right? They're in their personal movie and identified with it. They've forgotten that they're the thinker in that moment. They've forgotten that they're pure awareness. They've forgotten that they're this infinite space of intelligence and love and wisdom that embraces everything. In that moment, that's all. Mm-hmm. All right, so when I'm having difficulty in a relationship or with a client or with my wife or my grandkids, at a certain point, I wake up and go, oh yeah. And I fall into this space of being, of just being myself as I am. I'm not at war with any of my experience. Okay. Trying to fix my movie is just another movie. So Sid was saying it has nothing to do with trying. If you're trying, you're in a movie and it's going to be complicated. Right? The screen does not try to change the movie. The space of the pub does not try to change the people in it. Now listen, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying you don't do things that can help or make a difference. Is when I'm in this space of listening and presence, wisdom throws me into my relationship in a proactive way. And then I can either run or move forward or say something or not say something. It's all guided by wisdom. Right? It's letting wisdom and love and kindness come through that openness. That's why we talk about people at any moment have an open mind or a closed mind. Right? When we're having difficulty, we're getting caught up in our movie. When we wake up out of the illusion of our movie, we're back to pure consciousness or the now, which is presence, our true nature. And when we're wide open like that, wisdom has her way with us. She takes care of things. She brings us exactly what we need in that moment to be able to do well. To me, it's just the simplest, most ordinary, most miraculous thing that ever happens. You get your ego out of the way and wisdom takes care of everything else for you. How easy can it be? So as time goes on, you gain deeper and deeper trust and faith and wisdom that it will bring you what you need if you get out of the way. But you have to find that out for yourself and see the truth of that. And then you'll know that to be true.
We've had somebody ask a question. Declan has said, can the same space of presence and connection be held virtually, or does it only work in person?
Well, first of all, that space can't be held. That space holds everything we experience. So trying to hold that space is just another movie. It's another idea. Right? Right? I don't try and hold presence. If I'm trying to listen, I guarantee I'm not listening. If I stop trying to do anything, I'm listening beautifully, trust me. Some people say enlightenment is the end of trying or the end of the search. That's all it is. Right? It makes no difference. I talk to people in 26 countries this way. Mm. And this space knows no bounds, has no limits. And we're both waves on that same ocean. So on a deeper level, we're always already connected and unified. See, this is a more spiritual understanding of life. It's not one of separation and difference and distance and time. It's one of always present unity. So you can talk to people through any medium. Mm-hmm. And my words don't help people. I'm trying to point people within toward the experience of the truth that they are the thinker, that they are this aware presence that's been here. It's been here your whole life. It's not a different screen. The I that was aware when you were 5 years old is the same I that is aware right now in your life. Because that I doesn't come and go. It's eternal. The eternal now. Right? One thought, or one consciousness, or one mind, 3 different ways of saying the same thing. The space in which all of life comes and goes. In physics, they call it the quantum field. And out of this quantum field, everything in all the universes shows up, takes form, lasts for a while, and then disappears back into the formless. Anybody else? We should have time for a comment or a question.
Has anybody else got a question?
Or something you'd like me to say more about or talk more about? That's what I did with Sid. I just said, Sid, keep talking about love. That's the only thing I want him to talk about. It's the only thing I was interested in. It was the only thing that ultimately made any difference in my life. So I figured that'd be a good thing to ask him to talk about. And he answered it different every time. And each of his answers helped me in different ways. So feel free, jump in.
Yeah, talk about love, please. Brilliant, love it.
Okay. This is what's occurring to me now. This is right out there, though. Bear with me, Lucy.
I'm bearing.
In our personal movies, our personal experience, our thoughts and feelings, there's a love that comes and goes. That's not the love that Sid Banks is trying to help people realize. Only when I fall out of my concepts and ideas altogether, in those moments, I can intuit my connection to people in life. I can intuit that there is a formless essence to life. That's the only time I can intuit it. I can't do it while I'm thinking about it. So Sid would say, if you want to understand truth, you have to go beyond all concepts. And it's very ordinary, and it's a space that's right here, one teeny little thought behind all of our present moment experience. It's not far. The screen is never far from the movie. It's right here in every moment, right here available. We step beyond concept and we can intuit unity. That unity does not come and go. It's always true. The ocean is always the truth. There isn't separation. It's all one ocean, right? That intuition of truth is love. And that's not an experience that comes and goes. That's a truth that's always true. There's the unity of life, that we're all intimately connected to life is always true, whether we know it or not. That love doesn't come and go. That's our nature. If you begin to experience that love, you're not concerned when the human experience of love comes and goes. Now, this is a strange thing. I'm just using words. I don't know how to talk about this. When I'm really present to life and I'm not feeling love, I'm in a love that embraces even that. It's an unconditional love. In other words, I'm totally comfortable being in a low mood. And I used to be so uncomfortable every time I was in a low mood. I hated it. And I didn't want to feel that way. And I wanted to get away from it. And I had all kinds of movies about that. So I had movies about my movies. Now that's suffering. That's ego. When I sort of woke up, in a sense, what happened to me, Lucy, is I stopped caring about the fact that my feelings come and go because who I am doesn't. And that there's an unconditional love that embraces all of that. Very, very simple way. Again, my friend George Pransky, I've just spent a lot of time with George, so he's coming to mind. But George would say, you're trying to get out of feeling uncomfortable, and I'm trying to help you become comfortable being uncomfortable. I used to joke, no one wants to take that course. I can help you be uncomfortable. No, I want to learn how to be comfortable all the time. And we're looking for feelings that come and go and thinking that they're going to be eternal. We're looking in the wrong direction. You turn around and look in the other direction, and there is a love and a peace and a happiness that embraces everything that doesn't come and go. That's our true nature. And that won't make sense to our precious little intellects. It won't. It won't. You can never make sense. The intellect can't grasp that there's a unity that's far greater than itself. It's ungraspable. It includes the intellect, but it goes beyond the intellect. So I could say that love is more than just a feeling. It's truth. It's the unity of life. It's the oneness of life. It's the recognition of truth. It's an understanding of the true nature of life. Then you can be comfortable in your own skin, even though you have this constant change of movies. And it doesn't matter if you eat really good food and it comes out different. It's all part of it. It's all perfect. It's all natural. It's all, if you understand it, it's not a problem. Boy, did I have a good laugh when the first time I had a low mood and really realized it wasn't a problem. And basically what happened, I stopped thinking about it or worrying about it or trying to fix it or change it. So I didn't do a lot of other thinking about it. I just felt it and it came and went naturally. I'm in the flow of life now. I'm having all kinds of experiences, but it's not ultimately who I am. Very freeing, very freeing.
That's lovely. Thank you.
Mm.
We've had another question. Are you all right? We're tight for time, but are you all right for a few minutes to answer another question, Dickon?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is from Nikki. It says, "Hi, can you say more about control? If the intelligent energy of life is living us through thought, can we then somehow control what thoughts we focus on, or is that just our ego feeling like it's separate?"
Yeah, it can be ego. Let me tell you a little story that helped me with this. I'll see if it makes sense, see if it's helpful. One time Sid saw how hard we were trying to control our thinking. Easy to do when you learn the principles. Oh, it's my thinking, I'm the thinker, I can through my own willpower control them. We were trying to change our minds. We were trying to feel better. We didn't realize those are just more movies. We're looking in the wrong direction. We're trying to create a movie that's going to be permanent and lasting, which is an impossibility. It would be like trying to have it be sunny every single moment in England.
Yeah.
It would be like when it rains going, oh, this is wrong. This is wrong. And going outside and trying to push the rain back up into the sky. That's ego. That's fighting nature. That's judging your own nature. Okay? So Sid said one time, and he had a great sense of humor. A bunch of us were sitting around with him, and he said, I'd like to tell you what I think is the most important thing a human being can learn. Now, how do you think our egos responded to that? He's going to tell me, and I'm going to remember it, and I will now know the secret to life. So we're listening for something we can hold on to. That's what ego does. It looks for information it can hold on to. It looks for an idea. It looks for a technique. It looks for something to do, to hold on to, that we think is going to make it sunny all the time. So he said, I want to tell you what I think is the most important thing a human being can learn. And that is that you can change your mind. Now we're thinking he's going to tell us how to control our minds and change our minds. And then he gets this little twinkle in his eye and a little smile. And he says, there's only one problem with this. You can't change your mind with your little mind. Only big mind can change your mind. Now, I tell you, I had a monstrous insight when he said that, because I had been trying to change my thinking through my own efforts. So I would feel bad, and then I would try and drop thought and try and clear my head and try to quiet down and try to improve my thinking, think more positive. After I heard that, I did the opposite. When I didn't feel good, in a sense, I sat back and stopped trying. Just rested in the now. You know what happened? My mind changed. This is what Sid says. If you can touch this space of no thought or pure consciousness or presence, if you really touch that, which lies one little step beyond your precious little ego, your precious little thought system, if you touch that space for 1 second, guaranteed the movie you'll start to feel better and you'll start to get thinking that's helpful. Boy, was that different than everything I'd learned in psychology. Everything. It was the opposite of ego, psychology, of self-improvement. It's like when I'm out of the way, the paradox is I feel like I'm more in control. I feel like I can change my mind. I know how to change my mind. I just get out of the way and wisdom will change it for me. Boy, things got easier for me at that point. More and more, I would just relax rather than work. I would stop trying rather than try harder. I would think less rather than think more. It's very interesting to me to watch adults when they're stressed or having a difficulty. Most adults, without understanding this, will think harder about their life when they're having difficulty. They'll be trying harder to figure out what to do or what it means, or trying to remember how to be. It's very interesting. As your understanding deepens, when you feel stress or tension, it's waking you up out of identification with your personal thinking. You come home. And the paradox is it's not a journey. It's not a trip. It's just a shift in consciousness from being identified with the movie to being the screen, which is always so close. No distance. It's right here already. You wake up to the now. Sid says if you really see thought, it always throws you back into the now. And it's only in the now that wisdom can have her way with you and shift you and change you and uplift you and bring you thinking that's creative and helpful. It's the essence of love, essence of relationships, essence of creativity. It's the secret. So that's what understanding does for us. It doesn't get us more in our heads. It helps us stand under our personal thinking. That's what true understanding is. If I don't understand my wife, I stop trying to figure her out. I tried. Oh, I tried. And I wanted her to figure me out too. And I'd be upset if she wasn't working hard to figure me out. Right? And then all of a sudden, this is the opposite. When you stop trying to figure it all out, because you can't analyze your way to wisdom or love or truth. When you stop trying to figure it out, you don't know anything. And in that not knowing, love reveals itself. That's why Sid says, I didn't discover the principles. I fell into a space and they revealed themselves to me. I saw the true nature of life. Wow. It's been a delight, folks. I really, really appreciate you showing up. And I have my screen where I can see everybody's faces, and it's, or at least I see your names. And it's been a delight. So I'll turn it over to Frederick now.
Yeah, because you failed miserably. Yeah, that was terrible. That was truly, truly lovely. I really, really appreciate you being here with us tonight. That's just...
Oh, Deborah, you're welcome. It's a delightful group of people. I recognize an awful lot of the names, that's for sure. I look forward to meeting the rest of you in person sometime.
Yeah, well, when are you next in England, Dickon?
Oh, I'm coming.
We would absolutely love to have you come down to Devon and visit us next time.
Oh boy, I had a wonderful trip once with my wife to Devon. I'm going to be at the conference, and then the weekend after the conference, that first weekend, the 19th and 23rd, no, 19th and 20th, I'll be in the Lake District doing a weekend seminar. And then the following weekend, I'm going to be over in Saltburn by the Sea with my friend Sue Anderson and Bernie Parks. And then the following weekend, actually starting that Thursday, the 31st, I'm going to do a couple of things with my very good friend Rudy Kennard.
Oh yeah, we've had Rudy as one of our lovely people too. He's really lovely.
We're going to do a retreat together, and then a day and a half for practitioners.
Oh, lovely.
That'll be in Colchester somewhere.
Well, if you have any space in there and want to come to visit us down in Devon, we would absolutely love to have you. It would be lovely to see
you. Thank you. I hope to get back there for sure.
Oh, well, please do.
I live by the sea, so I love being down there by the sea. And also, I think I had the best cream tea in my life ever.
Totally. We do the best cream teas here. And we've got a nice clean beach now because we cleaned it last weekend. So.
I love hearing that. Yeah.
That was just brilliant. Thank you. So next week, we're going to have Julian Freeman be our lovely guest. I think you know lovely Julian, don't you? He's going to come and talk. So he's got a hard act to follow now. So let's hope that. I think that's it really. So that'll be next Wednesday, our Lovely People webinar. Thank you everybody who turned up tonight. Thank you, Dickon. That has just been absolutely a pleasure and a delight to have you here with us. Was there anything else, Lucy, Beck? They're my backup team who remind me.
You've done good, Deb. Well done. Thank you, Dickon. That was awesome.
Okay, folks. Great being with you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.
Wow. So there we go.
Bye, everybody. Everyone's going. It's like this.
Bye, everybody. Thank you very much. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.